Okay, so we have a poll going, so please go to the poll and vote. That we're going to discuss that at the end of the meeting. We're trying to make it so we're all doing it the same way, and we have the template set up the way you need it for how you're doing it. So it's probably easiest for us to do it the way that most people are doing it. So we need to know how you're doing it. That was a lot of times to say doing it. I'm sorry. Happy meeting. Okay. Start off with talk about the used field on the pod digests. A while ago, you guys got an email saying that anytime you use a story, you needed to go back and mark it used. And then one of you sent us a very politely worded email and made a very good point about how that was stupid. The editors are already on that digest as they're pulling those stories. So I spoke to the editors and let them know that any story that they're putting in must run on their budget. So if they're putting it on A1 or putting it as like this story has to get in, that they should be marking it used themselves. The only time you all will need to go on and mark it used is if you use an optional story, please go mark it so that everybody knows you used it. Or if you choose something yourself, if you have room left and you go use the Minnesota briefs, then make sure that you mark those used, things like that. When the story is older than about a week, you can't find it anymore on our regular daily pod digests. Once it's not on those anymore, don't worry about marking it used. You do not need to go back to the archive to mark anything. I don't know if any of you have tried that, but it's awful. That's probably the slowest document in the company. So you only need to worry about marking something used if you pulled it from optional content or it wasn't initially on the budget and you put it on. If you're choosing something from the digest to put in the paper, then you need to pay attention to the used to make sure that it isn't marked as having run in that property already. Hopefully that's clear. Kickers, I heard from a few editors that we're not always putting the kickers, that they'll put the kicker in bright spot in their print options, but it's being deleted before it gets to the page or while it's on the page. Whatever kicker they put on there, leave it on there unless you talked with the editor about removing it. Some of them, we're labeling editorial cartoon on some of the pages now, and that might feel silly because you feel like people know it's an editorial cartoon, but that's part of our trust project thing to label those. So stuff like that. Whatever they put in that kicker field, unless you're looking at it and you know that is not something that should be going there, and you talk to the editor about it, leave it. I added a ton more fillers into several of our publications. The dailies all have a bunch more, and I will get them in for the rest of the publications by the end of the week. The fillers only update twice a week. They update Wednesday morning and then they update Saturday morning. So I'll have them all in, so they'll update Saturday morning. So if you're working this weekend, you'll have access to everything for all the properties. Otherwise, when you come in next week, you'll have more fillers. If you run into that we don't have a filler in a size that we really need, send me an email and I will work on figuring that out. Please pay attention, especially now that you've got more options, to make sure that one of the modulus fillers is not on a page that doesn't have any modulus content. Those should be paired with that paid content. If it's the local views thing for Duluth, that should only go on the opinion page. I created several sizes of North Dakota congressional contacts to go in the opinion pages for our North Dakota papers. Those should only go on opinion pages. I'll have Minnesota ones in there, so those will drop in at the end of the week as well. Again, only on the editorial page. So just be mindful of those so that we are not using those incorrectly. Questions on anything so far? Okay. August 23rd is when we're going to move reminder and byline into Roxen. We just need to do some setup on the advertising side, and those will follow the same things we're doing now with all the styles and everything like that. So it won't be anything different. We'll just have those in, whereas now we don't. In the pub group, so like if you're in the, like the Northern Pub group in Slack, make sure that you're not using @here when you're trying to contact an editor, because they probably don't have alerts on their phone for @here for that room, since it can be so many different people. The top of the budget should say what editor you're working with, so tag that person instead. And if it doesn't say, just tag all the editors you can think of for that publication and see who responds. But an @here isn't going to get you a response because nobody's like watching for that one, especially when it's after hours. So, forum opinion. Michael has 5-column opinion templates set up for that. They're labeled forum only. If you have forum opinion going forward, please use those 5-column templates. We're going to test those out for a few days to make sure that we don't have any issues come up, and then we'll move all our other opinion pages to that 5-column. That's really what the editors prefer, and we've been having issues getting all their stuff to fit because they've been adjusting their word counts for 5-column pages for years at this point, and so they're not adjusting. So we'll have that for everybody soon. If your headline is coming up short, please make sure that it's going like mostly all the way across. I know that with the adjustments, you can't always get it all the way across, but if it's 6 columns and you only have it over 4, you should be able to adjust it up. So please be doing that. And remember that, a lot of headlines you can put in like the or a, it'll make them just a little bit longer to fill up that space better. And go ahead and do that as long as that's accurate. One more thing, and then we'll talk skyboxes. So in Roxen, we do have categories for everything. When you're putting syndicated columns in, please make sure that you're choosing a category for them. I mean, anything you're manually putting into Roxen, you should select a category for. For those columns, like the horoscopes and Dear Abby, we do have a category that just says syndicated. So you can just use that category. That way, when people are placing stories, you could change your parameters so it's only showing your syndicated. So you can copy over, stuff like that. Please make sure that when you are pulling those things over, that you do look through the whole item. I've seen a few lately that have like editor's notes inside the text of the column that need to be removed. We need to make sure that we have like proper dashes instead of just 2 hyphens, like at the end of the letter in the Dear Abby or Dear Annie. That like the headline's not all capitalized, stuff like that. Yep, Mary.
Sorry, I'm pretty rusty after being here. Yeah, I was going to mention the all caps thing. I don't know if we want to have a consistent style on that, but like Dear Abby and a few other things, like the lead-ins, like the Dear Abby and Dear Anxious and all that are in all caps. And like I do Dear Annie, and I guess it's Dr. Wallace that comes in that way too. And I've been changing upper and lower case.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another question. With those, I know Corey had suggested that we put a NC at the end of the slug name for wire stories, just to make it clear that kind of this is the main one, and make sure you make a copy. And do you think we should be doing that type of thing with the syndicated columns as well, or?
You certainly can, just so you're in the habit of doing that anytime you're creating content in there. But I don't think that that's the end of the world, because I trust that none of you are grabbing your own copy of Dear Abby instead of using the one that we've already grabbed. So we'll know that the copies going around are from the original.
Okay.
But yeah, on the capitalization, In the headline, we should have only the first letter and then any proper nouns capitalized. It shouldn't be every word capitalized. I'm fine with like where it says Dear Abby or Dear Dr. Wallace with those all being caps. Just as long as you make sure that it's consistent. I'm fine with just leaving it. It's one thing we don't have to change.
Okay.
So we do have some syndicated columns that no one has called dibs on placing. So I will be assigning those out, and I will email you if you've got an assignment so that you know. Joe says if you go to convertcase.net, it will adjust those all cap headlines. It's easier than rewriting. That would be easier. So
you can do that in a Google Doc too. I've been just kind of pasting everything into a Google Doc just in case there's weird formatting, or sometimes there's tabs instead of word spaces and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, please do make sure when you're formatting those that you check the formatting. I've seen a lot of them where a paragraph isn't indented because the previous paragraph doesn't actually have a proper return at the end of it. So go ahead and add an extra return. Make sure that things are formatted body. When we pull things in from Brightspot, if they have a subhead, I've noticed that the next paragraph often goes into body unindented instead of body. So keep an eye out for that as well. So I know that you're all being asked to do a lot right now. And this is one more thing. I appreciate you all taking it on. I've talked to several of you since I came back from my break, and sort of the overarching theme of what I'm hearing is that things are getting easier, but we still have a lot of things that we need to work on. So please continue to let me know and let your team leader know what's causing problems, what we need to fix. We are working on all of it, and I know that we're not getting all of it fixed as quickly as we'd like to, but we're getting there. I will say that tomorrow is Jake Pfeiffer's last day before he leaves for greener pastures, I guess, for the world of drones. So thank you, Jake, for all that you have done in the 18 months, 19 months that you've been back on the team. We have very much appreciated having you here. Any messages you want to send to Jake about how much you appreciated working with him, or that he's a traitor for leaving us, or, whatever. Jake, we wish you all the best going forward. I hope things are great. Okay. So right now I only have 6 votes on the poll, and there's 14 people in here that aren't me. So I'm going to need some more votes. If you have not voted in the poll, please quick go do that so that we have a more accurate representation. Like I said, we want to make sure that we're all doing things the same way, and that involves making sure the templates are all set up correctly. So I need to know how you all are doing things. I guess this is the speak now or forever hold your peace moment. And Michael's not in this meeting today. That's why I made that one option, making Michael do it for me. I don't know if that works for any of you. You should try it. But all right, I'm up to 8 votes and 15 people in the room. So, all right, 9. I'm just going to sit here and stare until I have 11. So go to the poll and vote, please. All right, 10. All right. There we go, 11. Okay. I was just about to say, if you guys can't get another vote, that I would just start talking about my favorite jellyfish to kill the time. And don't think I can't do it. I do a couple hours. Sorry, that's more than you needed to know about me today. It's the Irukandji. That's the best jellyfish. We can talk more later. Okay. So using the skybox template in Roxen, including putting the text on there, got 8 votes. Using the skybox template, like to add the image from Roxen and manually adding the text on the page, got 2 votes. And making Michael do it for me also got 2 votes. Making Michael do it for me, we cannot make a long-term plan, but using the skybox template in Roxen, including the text, that got 2/3 of the vote. So that's, unless you guys have objections or reason that we shouldn't, that's what we'll go for. We'll make sure that we have skybox templates with text to match the different styles of skyboxes that we have between the different properties. And then on the actual page templates, we will delete the words. So like on Wilmer A1, we won't have that like shaded box with the X's for the text, because we will have the template set up so that it's the template that has that information. So you can type it in Roxen and then it will drop in like that. So any objections to that? Is that going to work for all of you? I can't tell if this is you all agreeing or just wishing I would talk more about Irukandji. Okay. Aaron sent the party emoji, so I think that means we're good. Again, if you guys have any questions or, issues or anything like that, let us know. We'll figure it out. That is all that I have for today. Do you all have anything else that you want to mention while we're here? Yeah, Emma, go ahead.
Holidays. Have you mentioned those? Or
Yes.
expecting those, or have a plan? Because my family's crazy and it was talking about it in July.
Yes. Yeah. I'll send out an email and you all can reply ranking which holidays, like in order of importance to you for having them off. And then I will put together a schedule for the rest of the year for that. I think we have an idea of what all those work days are going to look like now that we've had the Tuesday. So, Emily.
Is there a timeline for when those skybox templates will be in Roxen?
We have a few in Roxen right now. Michael is off today, so it won't be today, but it depends on how much work Michael has to do on the resorters sections tonight and tomorrow. But let's say mid next week at the latest. Does that work?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. Let me know if you need anything. Let me know if you want to talk about Irukandji. We're good. So thank you.